Do me a favor. I want to thank a few of them now. Please bear with me. I want to thank Rhino Metals for all the tables, Gallo Technologies for all the walls behind us, Enforce Weapon Lights, Blackwater Ammunition, Volquartsen Firearms, Galco Leather Holsters. There's a whole list of sponsors down below. Please go check them out and refer to the list. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everyone who supports the show and all the sponsors involved. Please leave a review. I always forget to ask for reviews. I appreciate you guys that leave reviews. Thank you. Got a special guest today. I'm excited. It's going to be a good one.
Hope so.
I hope so, too. We got the one and only. Do you prefer Mike or Mikey?
Either one's fine.
We got Mike Hartman.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you are the CEO?
Yes, I am. Of CAA.
Of CAA Group USA.
Yeah.
Gotta get all that right. I gotta get all that right.
CAA Gear Up.
You gotta get it right with these Israeli guys. They'll fucking cut you.
Yeah, sometimes.
So listen, this is exciting to have you. We started talking out there a little bit. Why did you get into this business? What the hell were you thinking?
Well, to be honest, I really didn't know much of anything else. So, I joined the IDF in '88. And, I grew up maybe shooting some BB guns in my backyard. So there's a word in Hebrew called salaf. It means sniper. So I always had this dream to be a sniper in the Israeli army. And I would dream about going back to the Holocaust and being in the Warsaw Ghetto and how many Nazis can I kill before they get me. So I joined the IDF in '88, went into the infantry. And somehow I was pretty good shooting. So I went to sniper school really early. And then somehow it evolved, and I became the head of shooting of the Israeli army, which I commanded this school for about 17 years. And my job was to basically train the Israeli army to write the shooting doctrine. And every shot that was shot in the Israeli army for my 2 decades was stuff that we wrote, and that was my gift. That's one of my only gifts, as my wife says.
You get out, and you have this cockamamie idea to get into this business.
Well, I didn't know much of anything else. So in the Israeli army, you have to understand, you normally do a job for 2 years as an officer, and you move to another job, and then another job,
right.
Another job. I stayed and did the same job for 17 years. I was not talented enough to do anything else, so I just did this. So obviously, when I left the army, the first job I was supposed to take was in IWI, which is the Israeli gun manufacturer, the guy that makes the Uzis or the Galileos
right.
or the Tavors. And then someone offered me more, so I went somewhere else. But I knew I was going to end up dealing with weapons in some manner because that's what I knew. That's what I loved.
So you have this love for tinkering, I like to call it, gunsmithing or tinkering. If we're all gunsmiths, we're all bullshit gunsmiths, right? But tinkering and messing around with the stuff. How the hell do you get to the point where you design the conversion kit?
Well, I first actually started in optics. I was doing optics for a while. We always tried to see what would be the ultimate tool for the warrior. What does he need? What can we give him to make him better? What will allow him to get home better to his family, to his loved ones? So the conversion kit, as a conversion kit, was done so it wasn't accepted here in America. That was the major problem. When the conversion kits were designed maybe 10, 12 years ago, in America, there was a feeling that it was a crutch, that it was a waste of time. Go to the range, train with ammo. You don't need a tool. And we were fortunate when I moved here about 4 years ago from Israel to slowly but surely in social media marketing, some viral videos out there. And we made the MCK, the conversion kit, almost not too popular, but it's doing pretty well.
It's an interesting product. For those listening that don't understand what the MCK micro conversion kit is, it's a pistol and convert it into, how do I say it properly without getting...
Yeah, you don't want to say the word assault rifle, right? Because you can't say that, especially now. So you say it makes it a much more accurate platform. So it's a force supplier. You make it...
Force multiplier.
Force multiplier. So, we have it for Glocks. We have it for Sig Sauers. We have it for Smith & Wessons. We have it for Springfields. We're coming out with the CZ next month. We're just having a lot of fun. And in our little niche, we try to make it a little bit different. We love doing the giveaways. We love doing the viral stuff. We love doing shooting tip videos to try to give back a little bit to the people, because without our guys, we don't exist. So
right.
we're very proud that we make it 100% here in America. We're out of Florida, and it's important for us to do it in America and to do it at a fair price and keep the price low and make it a good feeling buy, and our customers have been awesome with us.
Now, everything's going bonkers now. We got to dive right into this. It's going bonkers right now. Biden comes down with this initiative, to go after everything that isn't hanging. How do we make, as a manufacturer, let the people know, how do we make sense of all this, and what does it mean to you as a manufacturer and how you go forward doing business?
Firstly, it's crazy. The last probably 24 hours in our little world that we live in CAA, it's been mind-boggling. The amount of traffic to our website, the orders, it's like everyone's running.
Panic!
That's the American mentality.
Right.
They're coming to take away my guns. I better get them while they're still legal. But there's so much gray area in these laws that were written. Some of them, decades and decades ago, that there are loopholes in all over the laws. And our problem as manufacturers, we want clarification. We want the ATF to say what's right and what's wrong so we can go and abide by those laws. The problem is there's so much ambiguity, there's so much gray area, we don't know what's right and know what's wrong, and everyone's basing their decisions on what the other guy did. So
no crisis wasted.
It's crazy. It's been a crazy 24 hours, that's for damn sure.
Now, I think, Mike, if I may, I think it plays out like this. I think similar to what we saw with the braces, where the ATF came in and said, we're going to go after everybody with braces, and then they had to kind of roll that back and recant that a little bit because that's completely unrealistic. Now, what they simply did, and this, is they doubled the amount of braces on the street overnight because of that. I think it's impossible to go after and retroactively say you can have a pistol, but you got to buy a stamp, because you just instantly criminalize probably millions of people. The only reason this is happening, in my opinion, and I want to get your thoughts on this, is because the amount of tax stamps for SBRs is probably fucking zero right now, because who's going to build an SBR in this environment when you can get a pistol brace that accomplishes the same thing? That's where I think the problem is. It's always follow the money in so many ways. I don't think they're looking at any data saying, you see all the crimes being committed with this. They're not. It's a joke, because if you really looked at the numbers on even AR-15s, it's the wrong mentality.
I totally agree with you. I think that it's a lot of times reactive, and if a shooter had a brace on him while he was shooting, then that becomes the topic. Or if a guy shot,
there's not even data on that.
I know, but that's the way they react. They saw a picture, they saw a post, they saw someone doing that, so now we have to go after that. I really truly believe that we have a problem in the country now. There is a left and right side here that feel very, very differently about guns and the Constitution, and we all, in my point, there's uncertainty. There's truly, we don't know what's going to be next month, next year, 5 years from now. We truly don't, but we would love to have clarification. We want the laws to be clear, and then we'll abide by those laws when they come out. But I think a lot of the stuff is ridiculous. People don't even know what they're talking about.
But let me ask you this. There's a lot of owners in the industry that aren't like you. They're not willing to speak their mind. They're not outspoken. They're not willing to have a conversation. I think that, and we talked about this offline a little bit, I think that's one of the giant failures of the industry. Why is it we are in an industry, and you were an IDF guy, tip of the spear, the whole nine, rah, all the things. Why is that such a reluctance that I feel we're in an industry that's supposed to be so full of the guys with the biggest you-know-whats, but everybody's such a pussy? Why is that?
I think many people would like to be underneath the radar, right? You don't want attention pulled to you, because this is your income. This is how you have employees, you have to take care of them. So everyone is, they don't want to be the face. They don't want to be in the, in the spotlight. So those things are, they just want to do their thing. And
they just want to put little Susie through college. They just want to get through. But it's that mentality that we talked about that's going to kill us, right? There's no, you go to any other industry, right? Jack Welch at GE, right? I could go on and on. Tim Cook, all these guys, they're out in front. And what scares me, Mike, I'd like to see more guys out in front willing to have a conversation. And that's part of the reason I said this out there. And this pistol thing's really heating up and becoming a big conversation in the country. I'd love to see guys be more out in front having a conversation, but instead, when Fox News rolls a reel, they're like, oh, let's throw a Navy SEAL on there. It's the wrong approach over and over again. Rinse and repeat. Am I wrong? Or tell me what you think.
I don't know. It's a tough one, because we're all trying to do the right thing. When we look at our product, we're not taking a assault rifle or an AK or any type of ARs, AKs, any type of weapon, and making it a pistol. Our conversion kit, the MCK, it's a pistol. And it's a pistol before and it's a pistol after. We don't have a serial number on our conversion kit. And, when they hear, the braces are going to be outlawed, or maybe the braces can become an NFA item, people take a step back. Is the MCK legal now? Are they going to come after our MCKs? I get bombarded about this on social media probably
of course.
1,000 times a day. Seriously, it's that crazy. And we're saying to ourselves, no, guys, firstly, we have to wait, right? They have to see what they're going to see. They're giving them, I think, 60 days to put some sort of clarification on this. But in our world, in our conversion kit world, we're not changing the classification of the weapon. We have a pistol. And inside of a conversion kit, it's still a pistol. So we don't feel that this thing is going to fall on us, but it may. We don't know.
It makes a pistol a pistol.
Exactly.
Right?
We're not changing anything. So, but we never know. You never know what's going to come. We'll have to all, wait and learn and listen. And there's going to be some lawyers involved. And this is, there's a lot of income for a lot of people this world. So if they're coming after us, we have to put up a fight, but we have to put up a smart fight. We put up a fair fight. And we need to be united and doing this in a smart and professional way, because there has to be logic. This has to make sense. They shouldn't be going after people. I don't think they're going to go after anybody, to be honest. If they may do something, in my opinion, it's just a personal opinion, they may make it more difficult to buy in the future, high capacity magazines or assault rifles or conversion kits. Who knows? I think they're going to just try to tax it because the money, as you said prior, they're bringing more income to themselves. But I don't see them. I don't see that trying to start a civil war here and come after our guns. I honestly don't believe that's going to happen. I really don't. I hope so.
I think Biden has already bitten off more than he can chew. I think he's lost Pennsylvania. I think he's already got a major problem brewing on the border that's already starting to divide his administration, because Kamala wants to back off now, and they're trying to figure out who's gonna go down there, right? It's like a Mexican standoff, no pun intended, of who's gonna actually go down there and assume responsibility. Because now, Mike, whoever goes down there assumes responsibility. Plus, he has the other factor of not knowing the data of who these new gun owners are. So his team is going to look at that very closely. Now, they have to make good on these gun law things that they're going to do. So that's why he comes out with this somewhat toothless approach of saying, I'm going to have the ATF draft up a blueprint. That's my big announcement, which we know right now it's kind of toothless. Where that leads and what that leads into, we don't know, right? So it's a wait and see, 60 days, 90 days, whatever it's going to look like. Then they're going to try to roll something out. Whether or not it's going to hold in the Supreme Court, if he tries to get really crazy, we don't know. But I think at the end of the day, what needs to start happening is some of the leaders within the industry, including the NRA and NSS, where are they in this, need to start to step up and have conversations. But I worry about this industry, and I think we're doomed because, and I talked about this offline, we secularize things. We make things monoliths. We approach it and we give into the argument of the AR-15. What's the first thing we always say? It's not an AR-15. It's an Armalite rifle. It's not an assault rifle. It's an Armalite rifle. We give them the argument. And that's because too many people are getting in front of the microphone that don't know what they're talking about.
What really bothers me is that the gun issue is a very, very deep, intense part of so many people's worlds. There are people that generations of Americans were brought up going hunting, were brought up with guns. It's like a rite of passage, and extremely seriously, right? Forget the tyranny government, and they're going to come after us. Let's put that aside. There are people that feel that way as well, and I'm not saying they're wrong or right. I'm just saying
it's the wrong pedestal sometimes.
Yeah, I don't think that's where the argument should be made. I definitely agree with that, but to say that you're going to need a good guy with a gun to stop a bad guy with a gun, I can live with every day. And what is military? What is police? These are good guys with guns trying to defend us and keep us safe at night, right? So we should not be trying to take away guns from people that are the good guys, It's not going to stop the bad guys from manning all these gun laws that they put out there. And you go into these cities, I don't know, like Chicago, where they have strict gun laws. You still have a very high rate of crime because the bad guys don't abide by the law. So I really think there needs to be an intelligent conversation, and there has to be compromise on both sides. I don't think this is a right-left thing. How many left-wing Democrat people have bought guns in the last year and a half? A tremendous
8
amount.
million.
Yeah.
So more, yeah.
A tremendous amount. So it shouldn't be a political thing. It should be a logical thing, right? And I agree that if a guy's a serial killer, we shouldn't be giving him a gun. If the guy's insane or mentally unstable, then there should be an issue giving him a gun. I'm not one of these guys that, I'm a gun guy, so everyone should get a gun. There should be some sort of logical, sensible, screening process. That's my belief. I don't think and that's some of our problem. We sometimes go so far to the right that we can't even have a conversation with anybody because we don't want to move even 1 centimeter. But there may be some ground in the middle that we can accept, but it's really far from what they're saying to us now. It's nowhere near what Biden wants from us. But there is certain things that make sense to 90% of the logical people out there.
The hard part always is getting all sides to be logical. Like the gun industry is divided into factions. As I said, it's almost like Braveheart, like uniting the clans. Like you have the clan of the hunters, you have the clan of this, you have the clan of that. And you have the military guys, you get the Leo guys, and the problem is inside of those factions, and we all know this, you got the mill guys who think, I'm a mill guy, I need this because it's not, I'm better than you, so you get into the cockfight, right? So that's what it turns into. And nobody realizes that, hey, we're all in this together. We need to find a common agenda to agree upon. And I think the failure has been in the construction of the narrative and the platform to which we have that battle, which is what you're getting at. And we see it rinse and repeat itself over and over again to where we fight and we die on the wrong hills over and over and over again in this industry because people don't really understand the greater issue. They're constantly going to pick at something, and you keep giving them the something to pick at. Now, I've been in this industry long enough, 15 years. I've seen it over and over and over again. I tell people, you have to begin to build in safeguards, to your point, to have a logical conversation. When you sit down with guys who are the threepers, right? I'm 3%er, I'm like, well, listen, like the full auto thing is one that comes up a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I say very logically, you have to get a green permit to have a full auto. Well, you're not a real American. You don't believe just everybody should have it. I said, I didn't say that. Where I have to have this conversation is from where we are now. I can't roll back in time and create a narrative that fits your threeper mentality. I can't go to the table with a politician and sit down and have a conversation and say, we deserve to roll back all these laws. No law has ever been rolled back in any way, shape, or form in the gun industry. We just don't see it, right? They keep stacking existing laws on top. That's why I do agree with the mentality of enforce what we have. First, get it right from where we stand now. And we make the mistake over and over and over again in this business of constantly dividing, and we fail, and we divide ourselves and we fail, and we continue to do it, and it's a shame. And that's what I see over and over again. I wish the industry would wake the fuck up. I wish whether it was the NRA or NSSF or any of these groups would wake up and understand that we have to begin to have logical conversations. The industry is not a mag dump in the fucking desert. That's not what the industry is.
I totally agree. I think that America is so much different than from Israel. The mentality of weapons here, an average Joe Schmo in America knows more about guns than 99.9% of the Israelis.
Wild West.
But it's really, I was shocked. I thought I knew shit about guns. I came here, I realized there's a lot of shit I don't know. So in Israel, there is no hunting. There's very, very little sport shooting. The first time a guy sees a gun in Israel is when he joins the mandatory service at 18. Girls do it for 2 years, guys do it for 3 years. That's the first time they see a gun is when they join the army. And you don't have people owning guns in their homes. You can't buy an AR or an AK in Israel. There's no such thing. You can't go into a gun store and buy a gun. People don't know that, but you can't. And very, very few people even own a handgun in Israel. So, and by the way,
but everybody shoots one.
Yeah, the thing that most people, there's so many misconceptions about the Israeli Defense Force. It's like crazy, but
they're all trained killers.
Yeah, fuck that, not a joke. Everyone's special forces, right? Every Israeli you meet, I was in special forces. It's like we didn't have that many people in special forces, I promise you. But those are the guys that come here. I was not in special forces, by the way. In any case, so the shooting for the first time is something that was like, they're afraid of it sometimes. They don't understand how to hold it. They don't understand how to pull the trigger. They don't know how to do a lot of things. But a lot of people think that in the IDF we use handguns. We don't even use handguns in the IDF. We don't have a backup weapon as a handgun in the IDF. People think, we're this handgun infantry. 99.9% of Israeli soldiers have never even seen a handgun, let alone shot with a handgun. So with the whole concept is very different than people think who we are. It is true that our special forces guys do have handguns. There are a lot of times in the territories, and they're disguised as people that live there, and then you're not going to be walking around with an M4. But the handguns are there. It's the whole mentality in Israel is so different. I was talking to you a little bit about that in the back. We needed to teach the Israeli military how to shoot. And I took over in 93 of the shooting school, and we didn't have enough instructors. So then there were thoughts, do we bring women into this world? Now, women at that time were not fighters. Now you have women in battle in Israel. You can have fighter pilots, you can have infantry women that they're on, on the border. So they're fighters. Small percentage, but they're there. So what we did, we decided to bring in women to be shooting instructors. And this is cool. They called them, instead of Charlie's Angels, they called them Mikey's Angels. Now, we handpicked the most beautiful women in Israel. And if any of you guys have ever been to Israel...
Keeps the attention.
Yeah, there you go.
Keeps the attention span.
The Israel, it's an amazing thing. You go there, you see the women there. They're not all beautiful, but they're all... I don't know if I'm allowed to say this because my wife may be listening, but they're all very sexy. They're like chiseled. The bodies are... You'll never see an obese person in Israel. We don't have fast food. We don't have these 24/7
Smart.
diets. No IHOPs, So in any case, we would pick the most beautiful women, and when they would go train the Israeli soldiers, the guy wouldn't say to her, oh, you haven't been in battle. You haven't been in Gaza. You haven't been in the West Bank. You haven't been in Lebanon. You haven't... No. You're so beautiful, just stay. Whatever you say, I'll do. So just don't leave the range. So we beat them. We beat the male ego with beauty. And as one person once said, you can teach professionalism, you can't teach beauty. So half of our instructors were always women, and they were, by the way, awesome shooters. Women can be much better shooters than men.
Way better.
I've seen the discipline. I've seen the patience.
Steady hand.
Crazy. The prone position, that's some like sexy shit though, but they it's like they're more elastic than we are. They're able to do a little bit different things angle-wise than we can. But they changed the Israeli military.
I think there's so much to be said about where the instruction comes from, and it's so different because here it's all about, who's the bigger badass, who's the bigger this, who's the bigger that, and it's always been, in my opinion, the wrong mentality. It's like, if you want to hear the Rambo story, just put on Rambo. If you want to go get good instruction, just go get good instruction. I don't know much, but some of the best shooters in the world here, Max Michel, JJ Racaza, you go down the line, these guys, they're very much students of the game. They're very good at what they do. On the female side, you have people like Ashley Ruark, Lena Michalik. You have so many great shooters. These are perpetual students of the game. They're constantly studying their craft, their footwork, their hands, how they move, their efficiencies of movement constantly. But we have this weird thing, and we all love the man goes on a journey, right? We love the Ronin type guy, like someone's going to teach me. Listen, if you want to develop that, as you said, it's a craft. There are guys out there that are tip of the spear guys. There are those types of folks out there. When you're learning how to shoot and you're learning how to develop that trade craft, it's best to start out small, right? Just pay attention, focus, get good instruction. I think people try too hard to jump in the deep end of the water and try to be ninjas overnight, and it's the wrong approach in so many ways.
I can tell you how much I agree with you. That's like, we started doing shooting tips now that we put up on our social media platforms to try to teach the basics to the guys. I believe that if I had the honor of teaching about 500,000 IDF soldiers and a few thousand American soldiers. When they would go to Iraq, Afghanistan, they would stop at our anti-terror school in Israel, and they would do what we call lessons learned, but they would train with us, and then they would go. And I love those guys. It was awesome. It was an honor to train them. But what I've learned, that if you have a good base, if your base is built well, you're able to do many, many things in shooting. The problem, and you are correct, people want to run before they walk. In the IDF, I was given the responsibility to write every shot that we shoot, but the importance was the doctrine itself. So because Israel is a fighting military and we're constantly in battle, we would always learn from our mistakes, and we made quite a few mistakes. So every time we had an engagement, it could be 4 or 5 times a day, we would learn from that. What did we do right? What did we do wrong? And then I had the ability, because you would understand what happened, to go back to the boot camps and retrain or put more emphasis on this and then on that. And then what we did very well in the end was bring the fight into the training. So we train in the IDF. The way a boot camp soldier is built in the IDF was very different than American military. And we would try to bring less the prone support, not support that they do here. We would try to bring the actual fighting into the range because we have a very short military. It's much more immature people because we're 18 to 21 and we're out. And they needed to be trained quicker to get into battle much faster. So the fighting side of what was happening, we didn't have the red tape that America has.
Right.
And I remember coming here, I visited many bases here in America, and I would meet someone that was like similar to me, that he was, let's say, in charge of shooting in one of Camp Lejeune or whatever. And I would talk to him, how do you guys teach dealing with stoppages on a gun? And he says to me right off, sports. I had no idea what that meant. Sports in the American military is S, smack the magazine, P, pull the receiver, O, observe, R, release, T, tap the, I don't know what you guys call it in English, the locking mechanism in an M4.
Forward assist.
Forward assist. And S, squeeze the trigger. And I look at the guy like he's smoking drugs. And I said to him, and he was like this guy who was built like a box. He was like we're very small in Israel. These guys in America are much more built than we are. You guys have 10 minutes of a vacation, time off. You guys are doing push-ups. We're smoking a cigarette. So in any case, I say sports. If you do what you just said, smack, pull, observe, release, 90% of the stoppages, it's not going to fix. And he looks at me and he says, I know. I said, what, are you crazy? If you know that, why are you teaching that? He says, well, that's what my doctrine tells me to do. So we do what we're told to do. I said, that's the amazing difference between the IDF and the American military. We have no discipline in Israel. It's all improvising. In Israel, if I say do A, B, C, as the book says, the guy will say to me, no, let's do D, H, and Y. It's a better idea because they think they're the chosen people shit, you know? So it's such a different mentality to see the way the American military works and the Israeli military. You guys are so much more disciplined. Like I would walk on the base and they would salute me all the time because I was an officer. In Israel, if someone salutes me, I have to look around to see if there's a general behind me. You know, it's a different kind of mentality.
It's very, the U.S. is obsessed with how many dicks you have, right? Like how many stripes, how many this, how many that. And there's an obsession with, like even like a teacher, you could question a teacher, and we're going through that problem now in the United States, right? Yep. You question anything in a classroom and you're wrong, you're canceled, you're run out, you're on suspension, you're dismissed. You can't question anything, even at a college level, and that's originally what college was designed for. High school, you were taught, and when you got to college, you were able to begin to formulate your own ideas. Now in the United States, you have to follow a narrative, and we're seeing it playing out in Hollywood. We're seeing it play out in schools. We're seeing it play out in all these different things. I'm a guy who likes to question everything in so many ways because I'm a creative. And it's not because I come from a place of being an asshole. It's coming from a place of, well, you could do this or you could do it like that. But I've been on the range with guys and they're like, your magazines are facing the wrong way. And I'm serious. And I'm like, well, I don't do beer can reloads. I use my index finger and I index in everything I do.
Internet warriors, my friend.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay. And in this, you just hit the nail on the head. In this industry, your finger's on the trigger.
Yep.
This is that. Yep. And there's so many people out to correct everyone. I always said to people that said, when they tell you your finger's on the trigger, say, well, you're just about to take a shot.
I remember we didn't have this mentality. You're so right. In 2017 at SHOT Show, this company called Rated Red did a interview with me about the Microni, which was our old version. Now we're doing the MCK. But I did this video, and the video he posted like 3 months later, and I remember the date, it was 22nd of March, and it ended up going crazy viral, did like 17 million. But inside of the MCK, as you have one on your table, we had a plastic gun. I don't know if right next to you on your left.
I got it right here.
So this plastic gun was in the microni while they're doing the video, and I'm talking about trigger pull during the video, so I put my finger on the plastic gun. I couldn't believe how many people were saying, and I'm sorry.
You're doing it wrong.
And I don't want to say, God forbid, anything good about myself because I'm not very good. But in Israel, I was a legend with the shit. I was 6-time champion of Israel.
Doesn't matter. You're on the internet now.
So these guys are every safety law in Israel. The way we clean a gun is very different than you guys. Clear a gun. I'm sorry, it's different. I wrote that shit. I was the guy that wrote this stuff, and I'm getting hit by these guys that probably never shot a gun before because I put my finger when I'm talking about trigger pull on a plastic gun. But I learned, and I had to adapt. When When in Rome, be a Roman, whatever that saying is. And I remember that now every video, this is a clear gun. There's a rod in here. We're so careful to show these people, but those are not serious people. The serious people, they want to learn, they want to improve, they want to get better. And there's always competition, as you said, who has a bigger one, right? And then you have sometimes these unnecessary wars, and that's sometimes what's dividing us, because we don't stand united because we're either competing or we think one is bigger than the other. And that's the stuff we got to get rid of, all that shit.
Well, it's a U.S. mentality of, you have what I want, you took it from me, and I need to take it from you by any means necessary. I'm going to scream from the rooftop. I'm going to do it's honestly what I've come to the conclusion of is, in the firearms industry, we've become like the liberals, like we're like the left, where we want to scream and pout. Oh, I've seen it play out. I've been on the phone, and everybody listening, you know what I'm talking about. I've had the conversations with people. He got a free MCK from this company. That should have been mine. Wah. It's
Why did he get it?
It's a millennium-adult mentality of like, I'm going to take it from him by any means necessary, and I'm going to point something out he's doing wrong. He did it wrong.
We say in Hebrew, akol mageli, that everything I deserve, everything is mine.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of having to work my ass off and to succeed in this country, and what's so amazing about America, if you work your ass off, you can make it in this country. And that's what's so frigging the American dream. It's frigging beautiful. I started here, I had 12 employees. Now I got 95 employees. It's because of America. This is the great stuff. But I think our major problem is our political correctness. What's happened to this country over I don't even know if it's
disgusting.
10 years. You can't say something. Everything you say is microphoned in and judged and angled and looking at, and you can't say what people are afraid. People are afraid to express themselves because they're worried that the left mostly, will attack from whatever they said, and that's in our colleges. You're talking about education. They have taken over our colleges. That's the fear, where you pay an incredible amount of tuition for these guys to brainwash people. And that's the stuff that bothers me. Where is the free speech that we're so proud of? Where is it we can disagree with each other and still love each other? We don't have that. It's like, if you don't believe in what I believe in, this is what a lot of the left mentality feels, then you're wrong by definition. If you don't believe in what I believe in, you're wrong. And you can't live that way. You can't,
I think the cancel culture thing, though, is running its course. That's my theory. I do think it is, just because we're seeing, the Gina Carano thing play out in Hollywood. We're seeing the pushback. We're seeing, the get woke, go broke mentality. And at the end of the day, the pocketbook is going to speak, right? So we're seeing Disney take massive hits, and at the end of the day, these entities that are essentially far-leaning entities, they can't continue to take the battering that they're taking over time financially. They're in the administration's ear, and they're like, we can't keep going through this. We can't keep enduring this. We need to have, some medium ground here. And you're seeing guys like even Bill Maher begin to speak up and say, what's going on here? Like, who are we canceling next? I need to get like a list.
Yep.
So I think the cancel culture mentality thing is going to play itself out very quickly. It might quickly, in a sense, might take 18 months, might be 2 years. We're kind of 2 years into this cancel culture odyssey. To me, it all began with the whole Me Too thing, and then it led to this, and everybody's paying for sins that they committed 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Well, what's the statute of limitation? At what point can I be a young guy learning? At what point can I be someone who made a mistake? At what point? What scares me more than not being able to say what you want is there's no room for any of that. Hey, I put my finger on a plastic gun trigger. Big fucking deal.
I think that what bothers me on a personal note, and I'm not talking as a CEO here, I'm talking as a personal note, when we talk about kneeling, we talk about kneeling in the shooting position. That's what I taught for many, many years. If you want to push an agenda, let's say, I'm not going to go into the Black Lives Matter or their world. I'm not against or for any of them, but why can't we push a point without having to disrespect another guy's point? The American flag, the national anthem, is a very big deal to half of this country, at least. It could be a lot more than half. So why do I have to specifically get paid billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars and kneel for the anthem to prove a point? Why can't I come in during halftime, and come kneel on the field? That's fine. You want to make a point. Why do I have to do it during the national anthem? Why do I have to do it on the flag when they know so many people look at that flag? You wrap unfortunately, dead people come back from battle. They wrap their casket in the flag. This is like serious stuff. Why do you have to do that? Why? And in my mind, it's like instigating. It's wanting to pick a fight. And then that divides us. There's so much reasons to be together. We all believe in the rule of law. We all don't want people coming into our house and hurting our children. All of us believe that we should work and get ahead in life. They're just, sometimes I feel that we do actions that what they're doing now with the guns. That's another one of those nails that they're trying to do to divide us. Let's come together. Why do we have to always hate each other all the time? Always be against each other. Either you're for the flag or against the flag. You're left wing or you're right wing. You're for guns. You're against guns. Why don't we try to find some common ground that makes sense and don't let even in Israel, I want to say something. We have a terrible government structure. We have like 12 different parties, not like here that you have like 2 major ones. So I don't want the fringes on the right or the fringes on the left making decisions for the main people. And unfortunately in Israel that happens all the time. But I just think that there's a lot of things that we could agree on, and we should sit down like adults around the table and work it out and find a way. When we do business and we make agreements with all the different people, you're always looking to do what we call a win-win. You always want to find a way that both sides leave that meeting room feeling good.
It's the art of the deal.
And that's what you need to do. You just need to do that. And I think we could do so much together if we stop fighting and try to figure things out that we agree upon.
Well, I can tell you why they kneel during the national anthem. It's guys like Colin Kaepernick. It's because it's okay for them to be offensive. Because at some point they have the I was oppressed narrative. You don't know what I went through.
But even so, why? If
I'm not saying it's right.
I'm saying even if you feel that you're oppressed by making $100 million a year, I don't mind feeling oppressed if I get paid $100 million a year. I'm a Jew. The money matters to me. So if that is the you feel oppressed, okay. Go vent it. Is he like the spokesman for Nike now? I told my family, you're not buying. I go to my wife. You buy on. I always have something on Amazon en route to my house every second of the day, which very much frustrates me, by the way. But no more Nikes for you guys. If that's their spokesman guy, if that's you get upset with this stuff. It's just like that's not right. Did they have to make him the spokesperson? It's again trying to divide us even more. And it's like let me pick a side and I'll get all that side with me. And then people are afraid. You mentioned the guy before, Rock. The Rock, Rock, almost everybody loves the guy, right? Great following, Instagram, great. He's a great actor. We love his movies. I love his movies. But then when he went political a little bit before the elections, and I'm voting for this, and I'm voting for Biden, and I saw on his Instagram page, people were going nuts, attacking him. What? Then people are afraid to even voice their opinion sometimes because it so polarizes us. You're either for us or you're against us. And I just wish that we're here in this world, right? We got a present, right? We didn't do anything to be born here. We didn't do anything to be in this world. God gave it to us, right? It's a freaking present. Now, some of us are going to live shorter. Some of us are going to live longer. Some of us are going to make more money. Some are going to make less money. But we're here for a finite matter of time.
Very finite.
Why can't we try during that time to stop fighting, to stop abusing, to stop doing, all this negative shit? And for the short time that we're on this planet, why can't we do something that's makes the world better? And I've been fortunate, because I was pretty much I'm not embarrassed about it, but I was very poor most of my life, and it's okay. In the Israeli army, you get paid 180 shekel a month, which is about $45 a month. That was your salary.
Wow.
Yeah. So I didn't really give a shit. I didn't know how to read the paycheck anyway. But as long as I had a gun, I always say I took out of the IDF in bullets what they didn't give me in salary. So I used to shoot a shitload of ammo. It's the only way I knew I learned how to shoot, to be honest. But I don't even know where I was going now. But I'm gonna tell you a funny story. I couldn't run very well. I wasn't very strong, but I was very good at shooting. So I remember everyone, again, no one knows anything about guns in Israel. So we did this, I did this little trick on them. I used to carry a 44 Magnum. It was like an 8-inch barrel handgun. They called me the sheriff. It was stupid. But I was a kid and I was doing stupid stuff. And I came to America once to visit, and I saw that they have these, I'm going to say this wrong, but these like snake shells, shotgun shells that you can put in a 44 Magnum, and it has all these little pellets inside of it. It was blue, by the way.
Right.
And I said, okay, that's going to be cool. I come back to Israel, and I say, none of these guys know anything about handguns. I went to cadet school because I teach every section of the Israeli military how to train how to shoot, not just how to shoot, but how to train
Teach the teachers.
Yeah, train the trainers, we call it. And I took a Phillips screwdriver, which has four edges, and I put it in the target facing the firing line. And I put four balloons on each side of the Phillips. And I say to these guys, there are about 400 guys in front of me. I say, what are the chances I can hit that screwdriver and the bullet will now break into 4 different pieces and go into the balloons? They said, no way, you can't do it. You know what, guys? I'm so confident I can do this. I'm going to go from righty to lefty. No fucking way, Mike. You can't do it.
No way.
And yeah, I said, you know what, guys? I'm so confident. I'm going to put on blindfold. They blindfold me, right?
Oh, this is a hack.
I take my 44 mag, and it has some recoil. That shit after you shoot one, right? And I shoot this shell that they've never even seen or heard of, and all the balloons go in one shot. And I walk out, and they're like screaming, the God was created. They built these legends about me that weren't fucking true. I would hear stories.
It's a good parlor trick. Yeah,
it's very, very cool. They sent us to Switzerland. 50 company commanders of Israel, and it was like a tour that they would give you a little two-power, how do you say it in English? A little prize, and they would send you to 2 weeks to Europe. It was a nice thing that the IDF did, and we went in Switzerland to a big auditorium. It was a William Tell thing, and the William Tell was the crossbow apple thingy, I think, and they asked for a representative of each country that was there. So guys from Korea, there was guys from South Africa, guys from China, and the Israeli guys automatically put me up because I was the head of shooting already of the Israeli army. So there was like 12 of us, and I go last in line because I want to try to learn the ballistic trajectory of this stuff. And there's one bullseye. There's a bullseye with a 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. It's a round target, and there's one shot. And none of these guys are professional, right? These are just people they pulled out of the auditorium. These are not professional shooters. And while they were holding the crossbow, it frustrated me that they were holding it wrong. So I went to try to help because I was built to be a trainer my whole life. And my Israeli friends started throwing shit on the stage. What the hell am I helping these people for? This is war now. This is Israel against everyone else. You can't help the
right.
You can't help the enemy. So 2 guys had 9.5. They hit between the 9 and 10 bullseye. And then I go up. Now I was the head sniper of Israel, champion shooter. My heart is like beating like this. It was just because if I don't hit the bullseye, they're going to kill me. All those 50 Israelis, I'm getting killed. I'm not getting on the bus back home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm dead. And I understood the trajectory. I aimed a little high. I saw it had to fall. And it was like fucking 10 feet. It's not like 100 yards.
Right.
It's like nothing. It's like a Nerf gun kind of thing. And I hit the bullseye, and 100 people, there were 50 officers and 50 non-officers of Israel there. They got on the table, started singing Mashiach, Mashiach, Mashiach. That means Messiah. Messiah, Messiah, Messiah. They gave me this medal, and they ran me around on their shoulders. I have it on CD. Every time my wife screams at me and depresses me, I go to the DVD player and put that in. It makes me feel more of a man. But when I came back to Israel, they started telling stories. Mikey was in this competition, 300 yards against the best shooters in the world.
1,000 yards.
It's like ridiculous shit.
The fish gets bigger and bigger. It's what's crazy about that story is, because we're talking about the culture, what social media has become, is you can't even tell that balloon story anymore because people will be like, he tricked him, or like there's always some parrot. I call them parrots, or what I call cancel Karens. Karen culture. They're like, he lied to him. We got him. It's a parlor trick. Like nobody gets the humor anymore. Like you can't be funny about it. You can't not take yourself seriously. It has to be this very serious thing. It's like
I think that the Israeli world is, you don't know if you're coming home. Right, so there's a lot of serious shit, and everyone does the military there, right? So this is mandatory service. This is not volunteer like you guys do here. So you have to do the military there, right? It's a rite of passage, and you're going to be in difficult scenarios. So there's a very knitted love of each other. You're not, there's sometimes competition, which unit's better, like you guys have Army, Navy,
sure.
Marines, who has the bigger one kind of thing. We have that as well. But you're all in this shit together. You're all trying to get home, and you don't want to lose your friends, and you do everything you can to get home safely to your people. And we have so many great people here. And I just, when people, you have to understand at a certain point, you're not here for people to like you. You're not here to try to walk through the raindrops and not get wet. When you have an opinion, you need to state it. And if it's an unpopular opinion, it's okay. I have been not unpopular, but I've been the lone vote in many things in my life.
The 12th man.
Yeah, that people thought something differently than me, and that's okay. And I used to go to bed with a pen and paper, and I'd come up with an idea because I think our brain works better at night. And the next day it was doctrine in the Israeli army. You know, that's how I built the Israeli doctrine over those 17 years. I would come up with an idea, and the next day we would be doing it. It was like, so you started getting an ego myself. People start saying you're great shit. You start believing this crap. And then, thank God, I met my wife, and she, with a hammer, broke my ego piece by piece by piece by piece until I didn't have any ego, and I was, I came back to earth. I always laugh, but she was not a shooting instructor. Everyone thought I would marry a shooting instructor because they were all pretty. She was in intelligence and in the army. She was not a gun person at all. But at least now I got her shooting. She comes to our range in our office. We have our own little range at the office, which is kind of cool. And we got her to shoot. We got the kids to shoot. So we're being Americanized.
Isn't that what it's all about, though? And I think what gets lost in trend. So I see it a little differently here, being born and raised. I was raised in post-Kennedy New England. You know what I mean? So you have to remember, to us in the United States, there's no mandatory service, right? But there is mandatory community. It's very hard to find someone that hasn't coached a t-ball league, coached a basketball league. Maybe they didn't go into the military, but they went into law enforcement. So in the United States, you have, I look at coaches as community servants in so many ways, because they're very thankless tasks. They're you're not paid what you're worth, and you're never going to be. So I always had that sense of community burned into me, and I think the United States does a good job of doing that, of burning the community sensation into you. So you have a lot of people that volunteer for different things. So you have that freedom of choice in the purest form. Now, with that being said, the problem that exacerbates is the seriousness to which everybody takes it. And it's not to say anything isn't serious. You want your doctor to be serious. You want your EMT to be serious. But like you said, you're only given a finite amount of time. You're only given a certain amount of you only have this currency, these marbles in your hand that you place in a jar that you're able to give. You should enjoy life. You should live life. You shouldn't be so wrapped up in things you cannot control. And part of what it is, with whether it's Colin Kaepernick, whether it's taking a knee, we go through these moments in life, Mike, that people get obsessed with controlling the situation. And that's what's caused a lot of the angst and ira here in the United States. It's people want to control. You have to think this way. Can't not think this way. And that's I think we're in a very dangerous place. And I think we're in a scary place.
I'm still optimistic, I still believe in the good. I still believe that the good's going to beat the evil. I have to believe that. It's who I am.
But who's to say it's evil?
Yeah, I think there are certain things that are very clear that they're evil. There are certain things that we can all agree upon. We don't want someone, God forbid, going into a store and stealing or holding gunpoint to people or killing or murdering or raping or any of these terrible, terrible, terrible things. There are things that they're very much agreed upon. That on those, let's figure out how we fight that, how we deal with that. And another thing that I think we should all appreciate of every day that we live on this life, because it's a present. We were given a present for doing nothing. We did nothing to deserve to be born. And I truly believe that each day, and I was in the military for 22 years, so when you retire lieutenant colonel, it's half your life's over. Sometimes even more, right? And you see a lot of bad shit in your life. You see a lot of stuff that you want to delete. I was the lot. I don't want to even go into stories, but there's a lot of stuff that you see that you want to delete in your brain.
Of course.
If you could. So, but now I find myself enjoying the little things in life with my family more than I did in the past. We have a group hug. A family hug nightly, or we do all the playing catch outside in the pool and doing all these things together as a family that I didn't have as a soldier. I really didn't. I didn't have that time and that energy and to be able to do my job well in the military and also to develop my family life. I think that, and we see a lot that a lot of the military families are in trouble. In Israel, when the men retire at about 45 years old, you retire in the Israeli army, a high percentage get divorced because they did not know their spouses for 20 years. They were never home. And then when they finally do come home, you're now with someone you did not know because they grew apart over the 20 years. And where you are at 25 and where you are at 45, you're two different people. And I think that the value of the family is a very strong value. And here, because America is so big, your kid gets to college, he takes a plane somewhere, right? He goes off to school, and you see him 2 or 3 times a year on Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's or something like that. And in Israel, the country is incredibly small. It's about the size of New Jersey. People don't understand it because they watch too much CNN. Don't watch CNN. I'm just kidding. But no, I'm not. The country itself is a very, very small country, and from left to right in certain areas, it's like 10 miles. There's like very, very small areas that are considered Israel. So in Israel, everyone is very family oriented. So every Friday night, which is our Sabbath, the families get together. Every Saturday afternoon, the families get together. It's very much family. And college and Army, by the way, in the Army, you go home on the weekends. So your base is probably 20 minutes from your house. So it's a totally different thing than you guys having to go to Afghanistan and Iraq and go away for a year and come home maybe once or twice a year, maybe.
Right.
So I just think all those military veterans that you guys have here should be shown the utmost respect. Law enforcement. My kids know whenever they see a police officer, wherever the guy is, they know. They run to the guy and they say, thank you for your service. They see a fireman, thank you for your service. We need to be appreciative of these people that are putting their lives on the line for us and take nothing for granted. Nothing. And I'll stop every traffic light that I'm next to a police officer. I ain't the horn. He doesn't know what a guy in a 850i BMW is pointed at. It says MCK guy on my license plate. And I put down the window and I say, thank you for your service. I truly appreciate these people. And those should be shown the respect. Anybody in this country, and I love what you said about high school coaches, baseball, little league coaches, any guys that do that community stuff should be honored. They should be put on a pedestal. Not the guys making $30-40 million in sports that kneel during the anthem. Those are not our heroes. Our heroes should be the guys that are doing shit out of the goodness of their heart to make their lives, everyone around them better. That's the people that we should put on a pedestal.
Part of the conundrum, though, Mike, is in the United States right now is you have this anti-police thing. Right. Ridiculous. And you also have this defund the police movement. Sure. And then you have this, we want to take guns away from everybody. Right. And what people don't realize is the basic fundamental question. You brought it up. We're in a restaurant or we're in a grocery store and someone comes in and says, this is a robbery. Give me all the money. We're marching towards a mentality that the left is spitting at people, which is, just hand them the money in the drawer. And we're not going to pursue that. And we're not going to prosecute that. And we're not, because they don't want to hear the answer, which is when a bad guy with a gun shows up, what do?
Yep.
You call a good guy with a gun. And they want to eliminate that mentality. And that's how the left works. The left plays a game of chess that's 4 moves ahead. They're trying to destroy the mentality of there can be a good person with a violent weapon. And they're trying to destroy that mentality that person can use their judgment. Well, you can accomplish the same thing with a hammer. You can accomplish the same thing with a stone. You can accomplish the same thing with a rock. And I hope and pray that people learn that we have to put those people on a pedestal and we have to, respect those people. And we just are in a point where we want to throw those people in the trash and say, no, you see the narrative being formed.
Yep. It's crazy.
All law enforcement is trash, right?
And that's why the kids were brought up to say the exact opposite. I agree with you so much. Look at the percentages. Look at the stats. I'm not a professor on these stats, but more people die of knife attacks and I don't even want to talk about car accidents than they die from gun attacks, right? So it's like a vast difference.
We should ban cars.
Yeah, maybe we should ban cars. It's like ridiculous. Maybe we can try to ban cancer. Maybe we go after that a little bit harder. Maybe we can do things to improve the quality of people's lives. My wife was diagnosed with breast cancer about a month ago, and I say to myself, no, but she's stronger, much stronger than I am. She's going to be great, and we got great doctors. But I say to myself, we can put people on frigging the moon. Before I was even born, or when I was born, and sending rockets to frigging cars to Mars. We can't cure cancer. Let's get behind that. Can we make a car that doesn't need to do engine checks? Could we make things better? I think our brain capacity is so amazing that we can do so many great things, and we waste it doing stupid shit. We want to take away the police people that are protecting us. We sleep at night because of these people. You know, I can't even imagine the thought process of trying to defund the police. It's
crazy.
Mind-boggling. Just mind-boggling. Who do you call when you have a problem? Who's going to answer 911 if you defund these people? I don't understand it. And I'm not saying police can't make a mistake. I make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. But because of that, you know, and it's just ridiculous. And some of these stories, you know, these guys, it hurts me. It bothers me in the depthness of my soul.
It's a mentality here that's a very dangerous one. It's a very, very dangerous one. And that's what I mean about having leaders of industry speak up and talk and start to begin, like, where, you know, getting some of the, even, like, I love seeing when the police unions are stepping up and talking and actually taking a stand. I know it's hard for them. I know that bucks the idea that they're supposed to be impartial and they're supposed to be all these things. But we're in very dangerous times, right? So you have to have the mentality of, like, if I don't, you know, I can't even begin to think of a world. Like, you look at Portland, it's a mess. You look at Minnesota, it's a mess right now. And it's because they have this mentality of, we'll take the police away, or we'll remove the police, or we'll remove this element or that element because it's bad. And who says? Based on what? Like you said, based on what data? You know, why? Because of Derek Chauvin?
Yep. Unbelievable. And it's just stupid. This is the stuff that we have to talk about. This is the stuff that people need to talk about. We have to have our leaders talk about this stuff. You know, we have to get people saying, okay, listen, we can't generalize on one scenario that happened and give everybody a score because of that. Let's learn from the mistakes and let's get better. I'm all for getting better. We all should get better. I need to be better as a husband. I need to be better as a father. I need to be better as a CEO. I need to be better every day. I have to strive to be better. And there's no other choice. And it's a never-ending battle, right? Because I'm never going to be where I want to be, right? You're always going to be, there's still going to be space to improve on. But to judge the entire police force on a mistake or not a mistake, I'm not even saying a mistake was made. I don't know the data to form an opinion.
Well, it'll play out in court.
Yeah, and people will know. But, you know, there's something that I did want to, I very much appreciate you bringing me out here. And something that when we, during the Israeli army, we have 5 infantry units, and one of them is the paratroopers. They jump out of planes, and I was like, it's called the Marines. It's called Givati, Purple Beret. It's not important. But one of the shooting competitions that I won, I got a prize. And the prize was to jump out of a plane, which, thinking back, wasn't the most intelligent thing I've ever done. But I jumped out of a plane about 5 times, and it's not the free fall stuff. It's simpler stuff. So you have your parachute's attached to the plane, and when you jump, the force opens up the chute, and then it opens up. And what was kind of cool, though, that they, after this course, you get to put shit on your uniform. The whole idea of the IDF is to pull cool shit on your uniform. Yeah, I'm a badass motherfucker. Sorry about the language. And so what they gave us once was I got wings for jumping out of a plane. It's like wings. So these are my wings, and I was going to give it to you as a present.
Oh, wow. Look at this.
So that's my it's not a fancy thing. It's just my wings from my uniform. So,
this is amazing. I can't thank you enough.
That's cool.
I mean, that's super cool. I'm going to have to put that in the case there.
I hope I get into a case.
Get in the case. Well, there's a running thing in here, and I know you got a chance to look around the studio, but there's pictures in the bathroom too. So a lot of guests now are like, I hope I don't end up in the bathroom, but there's a running thing because we have photos of all the guests, out on the walls, and we run out of wall space, and we do some of the more collage type stuff in the bathroom. So I get a lot of guys that come in maybe for a second time, or, they come back and they're like, I made the bathroom, so I go like, what the fuck? You put me in the bathroom. But, when I was doing this and I created this, I told you before, this was a culmination of just having conversations with really cool people and people that had something to add to the conversation. And I never know what to expect. And that's why part of me doesn't like to talk too much before the show, because I like it to all be real and authentic and in the moment. And it means a lot to me. And, I think for most people, when they want to do something, you have to do it with your whole heart, or it's not going to be successful. You have to really mean it, or it's not going to be successful. And you have to really believe in what you're doing, or you're not going to be successful. You wouldn't be the success you are today if you didn't really believe in what you're doing, the people around you, the time invested. I legitimately looked at the landscape and I said I couldn't work for another firearms manufacturer because they didn't understand that we're not creating the best vehicle possible to promote our business. And it took me stepping out of the box and saying to some friends and business owners like you and saying, we need a platform where people can come and have a conversation and be real people. This industry doesn't boil down to a single person going bap, 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 bap on social media. That's not what this business is. That might sell a couple things. It might have, some flair, but it's not what we're really about. And I cherish the stories. And I think I said this to someone the other day and they go, that's really interesting. I said, this life boils down to one thing. It's going to play into your family narrative. Life boils down to the conversation you have at the dinner table. If you got a really good conversation, you lived a life. If you don't have a really good conversation at the dinner table, you need to go out and you need to live life the next day. And you need to constantly do that. It's like looking in the mirror. And I think I have a pretty good one. Short of sitting at a table with a fucking astronaut, I got a pretty good conversation to have. I've met a lot of great people. I've had a lot of great conversations, and I've enjoyed every single one of them. And I think one of the biggest mistakes is people don't go and live. People get wrapped up in what everybody else wants everyone to be. I get people in here, they're like, I want my daughter or son to go do this or go be that or go, and I'm like, well, let them go do what they want. Let them figure it out. And if it leads them back. But in the United States, we, part of the problem is, like I said, we live by this. You have to do this and then do this. And if you don't believe this, then, you're fucked. We're going to cancel you. # you suck. But, we have to break away from that a little bit. Like you said, improvise. And there used to be some of that in the United States. There used to be some willingness to improvise. But even your balloon story. In the United States, if you did that and posted on Instagram, they'd be like, he lied, he tricked. It's just like this level of, we have to take ourselves so seriously. But then you have these groups in these, I call them factions, really, that are like, no, Biden didn't fall down the stairs. Yep. You didn't see that. Well, he did.
The amazing thing about the media that we're living with, you can tell a story through that camera, through that BBC, CNN, NBC. I can say Fox News just to even out the conversation. And that narrative can be totally false. I remember being in Gaza, which is the territories in southern Israel. And I'm behind my sniper scope. And I have this base that I'm in charge of in the territories. And there was a kid walking. And he must have been, 12, 13. And there was no danger. There's no problem here. And as I'm watching him, the guy falls down. No shot was shot. An ambulance starts screaming from around the corner, picking him up. The medics get out inside of Gaza, take him, put him in there, and take him away. 12 hours later on CNN, we shot somebody. I swear to God, I'm watching. This is not hearsay shit. I'm looking through my telescope. No shot was fired. They make up shit, and then you have to believe that because you don't know anything else, because that's the input that's going into your brain. And there were scenarios where we had to fight these people that they had a guy with an AK, and he surrounds himself in a circle with 12 kids, maybe 6, 7 years old, and he's shooting at us inside of this circle because he knows we're not going to shoot the kids to get to him, right? So they use our ethical weakness, our strength, which is they use it as a weakness because they know we're not going to take that shot,
right?
So there are certain things that the media can do and show that are untruths, and they're not examined. And I said to you this off screen. I have some liberal friends in California.
No.
Yeah. Can you believe that there's some liberal people in California? I don't know if you heard that they got through the border somehow, probably from the South, and I say, we hit each other because I'm a Trump guy and they're a Biden guy, and I said, how's Biden doing? Is he feeling okay with that trip on the stairs? And they're saying to me, what trip on the stairs? So no, seriously, you didn't see Biden with tripping on the stairs? They said no. And I'm talking to very intelligent people. These are doctors. These are lawyers. These are real estate people. They didn't even see it. I must have seen it 1,000 times.
Right.
So I guess what we look and what, I'm watching Newsmax or whatever I'm watching, I'm seeing that, constantly. Yep. And the other side is not even showing it. So you have these two people living in the same state or the same country, seeing two totally different pictures. And that's the power of this media thing, that they can warp things and show you their agenda, and they're going to push that agenda. And that has to be, that's one of the biggest weaknesses we have. If you have a political agenda as a professor at a university or a political agenda on a media, you're able to push your agenda onto other people. It shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be one of the terrifying things that plays out. I think cancel culture has a better chance of falling. It's not going to be the agenda-driven identity politics and agenda-driven teaching and agenda-driven leadership that we see in this country. That's going to be a long time before that dog, stops barking. But I think the cancel culture thing is starting already to begin to show its dark side, because you just have too many people stepping up and saying, who's like the Cuomo thing, right? Yeah. Like, how can you ignore that, right? Even MSNBC and even some of the left, they have to talk about it, right? Because it's bubbling over and it's absolutely crazy. They're all turning on him and that, and rightfully so, right? If the dude's a douche, he's a douche, and that's how it is. And it should be highlighted, and maybe he should consider resigning because it's too much attention. But they had the balls to build him up and give him an Emmy and give him and that was a
Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, I mean, literally, so he was a victim of their own creation in so many ways. And these people, it's almost like they didn't study history ever once in their life. People love to build things up, then tear them down. Build it up and tear it down. And that's why cancel culture will fail eventually, because everybody will get built up and stand on these pedestals of greatness, and then they'll be torn down. And that's just history repeating itself. That's hubris. That's been going on for 1,000 years. And it's so transparent to see. So all these people that want to live in a perfect bubble, well, he said this, he said that, he meant this, he's racist.
Yeah, everything. You get hit with that if whatever you say. I would say about 85% of my employees are all minorities, and they can argue in between themselves. You can have guys with African American, with Hispanic guys yelling at each other that they're both racist, and you're like, come on, guys, not everything's about race. Sometimes you're just an asshole, and but there are things that I say to myself. They use these words as weapons, and they, once you're called a bad name like that and it sticks on you, you lose your whole career over something you didn't do anything wrong, possibly.
100%. And it's getting like, you look at things like the raising of the minimum wage as a good example. And I keep saying to people, they're like, well, you're against the raising of the minimum wage. I said, I'm not. I said, but if you keep falling into that trap of let's raise the minimum wage, there's going to be all kiosks in McDonald's. There's going to be all kiosks in Domino's. They don't care. They say, go ahead and raise the minimum wage. We'll put a fucking machine in there. We'll put a robot in there. You know what I mean? So they're not thinking it through of how it could play out. You should never aspire to, listen, to everybody out there that listens to this, I'm not saying this as a down. You should never aspire to have an $8 an hour job for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. That's a job that you get as a means to an end, as a means to the next thing. I'm sure you want to promote everybody from within your company, if you can, if the means provide it. But to people out there that don't understand, we want those jobs. But if you keep doing that, they're only going to innovate their way out, and they're not going to exist. So McDonald's sits back and says, yeah, sure, we'll put 5 kiosks in. We'll have one person flipping burgers, and eventually we'll get a robot at the front station, and they'll just bag it up, slide it down, and you're going to get your food. And that's what it's going to march towards. They don't think it through. It's like having an argument with someone who just wants to say, yeah, but.
They have to understand that when the way we work, we start people off at way above minimum, but we're not at 15. We're at like 13. That's a starting wage at our warehouse guys. But every 3 months, if they excel, we raise their salary.
Right.
So we give incentives to excelling people with the employee of the month.
Merit, yeah.
If you're good at what you do, you should excel. You should go up in life. You should, because you're good at what you do. So what we try to do in our company, and this is across the board, you do a good job, you're getting paid more money. You give $100 here, $50 here, you're going to buy you breakfast, buy you lunch, you put employee of the month. We're going to do things like that to show you that if you do good, if you excel, you're going to go up. And I want everyone to feel that way. I was extremely, extremely poor. When I got presents as a birthday, I couldn't open them. I had to keep them, and when someone else had a birthday, give those away. And it didn't bother me. I didn't know anything different. I always make this joke in the Army. I'm a ketchup guy. I love ketchup. Mm-hmm. I know it's a disease, and there's a ketchup in Israel called Osem, and it's the Israeli ketchup. And there's another ketchup called Heinz, which they sell in Israel, but it's more expensive. And because I was poor, I couldn't afford the Heinz ketchup. I had to buy the Osem ketchup. So in my freezer, in my little refrigerator, that you needed a hammer and a spike to take out the ice out of the icebox. Unbelievable where I came from. But I always had Osem ketchup. I didn't have any other food, but I had Osem ketchup. And I was champion of Israel shooting, but I was also champion of Israel blind dates. So I went out with like 1,000 girls until I found someone who was willing to take me, which was very difficult. But that's a whole nother topic of conversation. So eventually I started making a little bit more money. I became a captain, then a major, then a lieutenant colonel in the Army, and I started getting paid more money. It's still not a lot of money, but
you could buy the mustard.
Now I could buy the Heinz ketchup, but I got so used to Osem that when I would come visit America, I would bring packs of Osem ketchup with me from Israel to here because I needed the Osem ketchup. My body could only take that kind of ketchup,
Right.
not the Heinz. So that's how I judged wealthy. If I can buy Heinz or can I not buy Heinz ketchup?
For me, it was name brand cereal versus store brand cereal. So in the United States, so I had a guest on a while back that was from Australia, and I said, like, what's one of the big differences here? Just making conversation. And she said cereal. She said, you guys have a whole aisle, an aisle and a half dedicated to cereal.
Yep.
She's like, it's the craziest thing. She's like, the way you guys approach cereal. And I say, because it's marketing. The United States, it markets towards that, different audience. So it's kids. So the cereal aisle is like an aisle kids want to go down. It's always a little wider, a little brighter. Everybody wants to be at the kids' height level. It's the one aisle that everybody wants to be at that certain height because they want to capture eyeballs. If you ever notice, a lot of the big brands that sell are on the second to lowest shelf, if not the lowest.
Yeah, the kids.
Because the kids, the healthy ones, tend to be on that top and mid-level shelf. So
I go to the Fruity Pebbles.
Yeah. So cereal was the big thing. So when I first, got a real paycheck that I could understand and read in cash and have $5 extra, I wanted to go buy General Mills. I wanted to buy the name brand. I needed to have the real thing because I grew up with cornflakes plain, plain in the family pack. And when it ran out, see, that's what's missing, really in this country. When it ran out, we're out.
Yeah.
In my house, now today the kids will sue you and take you to court, if you don't have it. So, I didn't grow up with a lot of those frills. You ate 3 meals a day, you sat down 3 times a day, and that was your life. And I think this comes back to, I equate things to football because I played it my whole life. So I always say you learn a lot when you're face down in the mud about yourself. And there's just not enough kids today, enough people that are having their face put down in the mud. And you can use any other analogy that you want, but I think at the end of the day, you find a lot in that mud. And I went to a private Catholic high school that I played football in, and we used to push the sled all around the field. And it was like over and over and over again. Somewhere my football coach will listen to this, but like we'd push that sled repeatedly over and over again. It would rain. I was in New England. It rained. It snowed. It was miserable out there in the winters. You froze. And there was a badge of honor. You mentioned getting, patch of honor. There was a badge of honor in not wearing any sleeves, not wearing any, it was like, the cold won't stop me. Nothing can stop me. A flu won't stop me. Nothing. You don't have that anymore. Now someone chips a toenail and it's, I got to cry about it. And it's that mentality, that's why people around the industry will say this about me. And I hate giving away a little bit of the syrup on the show, but I do from time to time. Don't hate on John because he lives for it. It's almost like a fuel, like I have a twisted way of viewing things. Like when somebody says something negative or whatever, I'm like, that's awesome. I live in that hate. I wake up every day counting on somebody to hate me. I wake up every day counting on someone to say something shitty, and I'm like, yeah, fuck yourself. But I'm from Boston, and that's a whole different mentality. We welcome that. We love that. We relish that. Dana White and I were talking about that a little bit. It's a different mentality. He said it best. It's an overeducated, overpopulated, overstimulated area. And everybody just has that, wakes up in the morning, like looking at the sun saying, go fuck yourself. It's like, it's that approach. And I think, not enough people live in that uncomfortable place.
I saw these in the beginning, in the late 80s, we would do a star ambush. So you have maybe 12 guys in the ambush, and your right foot is above the left foot to your right and underneath the right foot of the left.
Right.
So you're one below, one above, and you make this star. So whoever sees the terrorist hits the guy's leg, and then you open up the star, and you make a straight line towards the terrorist, and we all open up fire at the same time, okay? And you would do these ambushes in South Lebanon in like November, December. I swear to God, from your knee to your foot, you could not feel anything. They're frozen, right? We didn't even have good equipment back there. So even if there was a terrorist and we had to get up and charge the terrorist, we're not getting up. We're physically not being able to get them. So if we don't kill them from where we are, we're in serious trouble because we're not charging. In Israel, you always end the fight with a charge. You always end to be where they are. You need to physically stand where the enemy was. So I remember saying to myself, I hope to God someone doesn't come because I'm not moving. I can't. I physically can't. It made you more of a man because I was pretty much spoiled sometimes, and it was something that I needed to go through to be more who I am. You know, and when we talk about these guns and taking away guns from people, God forbid, you know, we as Jews always look at a certain thing that was very traumatic in our history. We have a very long history, being slaves in Egypt and being oppressed by so many things. But one of the biggest ones was obviously the Holocaust, because it's, you know, in World War II. And 6 million Jews, along with many other people, you know, gypsies, homosexuals, you know, a lot of people were just, gassed or assassinated. And I find it very hard to understand. I wasn't there, obviously. Where was the fight back? Why didn't we fight back? Why didn't we put up more of a fight than we did? There was many, many amazing, brave stories of fighting back. But how was the whole country controlled by this one guy, by this Hitler guy?
Right.
And he was a great speaker. He had charisma. And he was able to show that all the world problems, all of Germany's problems were the Jews and the gypsies and the homosexuals. And that's how you're going to cleanse the Iranian race or whatever they're called. And I say to myself, every day in the IDF, you would say to yourself, now try us, you motherfuckers. Let's come at us again now, right? Mm-hmm. You guys got us when we weren't ready. Now we're ready. And Israel was built because of the Holocaust. If it wasn't the Holocaust, there wouldn't be Israel right now, right? Israel was in 48, the war of 45. So my whole thought process is, when I was a soldier for so long and training in soldiers my whole life, was that's never going to happen to us again.
Right.
No one's going to lead us to the ovens again. No one's going to lead us to the gas chambers again. That's not happening. I'm not going down with the fight. I may lose, but at least I'm going to go down fighting. I'm not. This is the thing that the left has to understand on the right. They have to understand that these guns to the people here, they don't want that. That's their last line of defense in their minds, right? That's when everything breaks. They need this thing. So you can't take away that thing. You can't make them slaves. You can't make them oppressed.
My fear is, Mike, that we have to get sent to the ovens before we realize how important it is.
We've already done that, right? Can't we learn from our mistakes already? We've already gone through that shit.
I wish that was the case, and that's why I've kind of the last year taken almost a as much as I hate to say it, I've taken almost a negative outlook on it. And I said this to you out there. I'm like, we're going to lose, and we're going to lose huge. And we're going to lose because of how I look at the things, even at the company level, at CAA level. I look at the things that we support and we fund. We support and fund jack-offs running around doing mag dumps in the desert. I offered this show to the NRA, to the NSSF for free. So take it. I support the cause. Take it. To this day, not one of them has asked me for a clip, for a video, for a snippet, for anything. And I've had how many leaders on that wall, how many different people all around the industry. You know why? Their mentality is just so closed. They see one thing at one time. We're going to fight this fight. They put $4.5 million into the Georgia Senate election. Do you know the media juggernaut you could build with $4.5 million? Do you know what your marketing director could do with $4.5 million?
Yeah.
But do you understand that's why we're going to lose, and we're going to lose huge because we're fighting the battle on their platform.
I want to be more optimistic than you. I seriously
Please
do.
Be.
I don't want to be the guy that says we're going to lose. I think we have to fight the good fight, and we have to do it in a different way than we're doing now. I'm totally accepting the fact that what we've been doing now, it's not working. And what did Einstein say about repeating mistakes? We have to understand what works and what doesn't. And what doesn't work, let's fix it. And I wish we could get together, because I honestly feel that we're so divided now, that even in our own party, our own side, we're divided. And that's the stuff that I don't want to feel we're going to lose.
But I told you, make it simpler, Mike. Not to talk. I want to make it let's boil it down to a level we can understand. Even when I have UFC people on, people say, "Why are you having UFC people on? Why don't you have more gun people on?"
No, but that buddy, I don't think you have to make other people happy. It's impossible. I swear to God, if you want to make an impact on the world, you can't be wanting to make people happy. I remember this like yesterday. I was 27, sitting in my office in the Israeli army. We have something called a sociometry. It's like a popularity test bullshit, and it's filled out anonymously. And for 5 years, I came in first place in my base, which was like not unheard of because I was a nice guy. I was a patient guy. I didn't step on anybody's toes. I did my work. I always liked listening to people. And then when I was 27, I remember this like yesterday, I said to myself, do you want to really make a change in the Israeli army? You really want to have an effect? You really want to share a stamp? You're going to now have to take over divisions that are not yours. You're going to have to take over the ammo. You're going to have to take over the safety. You're going to have to take over the courses. You're going to have to take over the targets. You're going to have to take over different divisions that I was not in charge of at that time, meaning I was going to step on people's toes. And I remember this like yesterday. I said, I have to do that. I'm going to intentionally decide that being liked and popular is not critical. I was president of my high school. I enjoyed being popular. It was a big deal for me. I didn't have a good family life. And I remember saying then that in there, I don't care. And I went after and I took over all those divisions. And every one of those things that I knew had some sort of connection to my field, I needed that control so I could actually make a tremendous change in the Israeli army. And the next year on the popularity thing, I came in 20%. That means 80% were more popular than I was, right? So I knew that I was doing something that was going to step on toes, but it was going to have a major effect. And that means you cannot look at what people talk about you or say about you or write about you. And they always say to us, put on thick skin. If you're in social media, put on thick skin. And we all get upset. It all pisses it off. I see sometimes people say shit about me. I take it personally also, which I shouldn't. But what I'm saying, because of you, and you're much more of a celebrity than I am, that you're going to have haters. So whatever you say, there's going to be people that are going to pick that apart. You have to believe in what you are doing. You have to believe in the direction you are doing it in. And I'm sorry to say the word, screw the rest, and go and do what you believe in. And sometimes it'll be popular. Sometimes it'll be less popular. And that's life. But I would not veer right or left because of what people say on you on the internet. What are they called? Keypad warriors or whatever they're called? Give a shit about that.
Keyboard warriors.
I don't know what they're called.
Listen, we've been going on and on. How long is this?
I have no idea.
We're into an hour and freaking 20 minutes or whatever we are. How long have we been going? 90 minutes. Yeah, we got to wrap it up. All right, listen. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you, my friend. I enjoyed it very much.
Listen, I had a blast. I really did. I could go on and on.
We went in directions that I never thought we would talk about. That's
the point. I definitely would love to have you out again.
My pleasure.
And I don't say that to everybody.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate you taking the time.
You put my wings in the bathroom, you will lose a kneecap.
No. The wings are going in a good place. Let everybody know where they can find you, or they can reach you guys on the website, right? The website. So we'll put the links down below. But
I'm not into promoting myself too much. But
all right.
Yeah, you can put the link on the bottom.
We'll put the link on the bottom.
Yeah.
We'll get the links. I appreciate you coming out. Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. It was an honor.
I want to take a few minutes. I want to thank everybody. Head over to www.johnbartoloshow.com. Go check out all the sponsors. I want to thank a few of them now. Of course, we want to thank CAA. Gear Up, right?
Yeah, that's
right. That right.
Well done. Well done.
Blackwater Ammunition, Enforced Weapon Lights, Full Quartz and Firearms, Pulsar. Thermal technologies coming down in price. Go check out Pulsar. I want to thank all the other sponsors, Galco. Appreciate them. Go check them out. Go buy a holster. And all the sponsors listed on the website, please go give them a look. And the links are all down below. Please click them. Leave a review. Go check out CAA. Guys, they make a fun product.
Thank you.
Don't take yourself too seriously. We are going to head out. Bye. Let me roll I don't even know where I put the damn reel. There we go.